Guys, back with another Portable Clint. Guys, I don't normally do Saturday mornings at the farmer's market, but I had to make it happen because my buddy, who I've known for a very long time, is in town for the Emmys. So I made sure I fit him in. So here he is, ladies and gentlemen, James DuMont. Whoa,
what's up?
Look at this guy.
Yeah,
How long have I known you, dude?
Gotta be 20 years.
20 at least.
Yeah, probably 20 years, I would think.
Okay.
We did some crazy stuff to make money.
We sure did.
Actors.
We sure did.
How would you like to go to a movie? Would you like to go to a movie?
You guys want to see a sneak preview? New movie Tuesday night?
Yeah.
You have nothing to do with the entertainment business?
I can't tell you, but you
Right.
gotta go.
Exactly.
That's how we made money.
Exactly.
I'd have
That's
to kill
right.
you.
That's right. Okay. James DuMont.
Yeah.
When did you roll into town to Los Angeles, California?
48 hours ago.
Okay, besides that, when you originally came into town.
August of 92.
Okay, we're going to start, but we have to go back before 92 to talk about your career.
Sure.
Now, James, let me tell you something. I'm only really impressed. You have 140 IMDb credits. Very impressive, right?
There's more, but I can only put on.
But wait.
Yeah.
You can tell me all those credits, but I'm only impressed with one
Wow.
uncredited credit on there.
All right.
Do you know which credit I'm talking about?
It would have to be, I got my SAG card with Blues Brothers.
Blues Brothers.
That's the thing, you know?
That's, if we could just talk about that, then we're
Sure.
done for the day.
Done. And scene.
And
Thank
scene.
you. Good night.
Okay, James, tell
Yes.
me about how you got Blues Brothers,
Okay,
dude.
the funny part is, my uncle and my cousin, my uncle was part of the Chicago Transit Authority.
Okay.
So the first scene that I got was just being one of the people on the train that goes by Elwood's apartment, you know, like Elwood's
Yes.
apartment, like shakes and stuff.
Yes.
So that was my first kind of foray. And then he ended up also getting me on the train platform for the big dance number.
Right,
you
with
know?
Ray Charles?
Twist in, shake,
Yeah,
shake.
yeah.
And what happens is one of the kids that was doing the dance had to go to school. Like he just like decided he was going to work for a little while and then he had to go to school. So they were like, does anybody know how to dance? I was like, well, yeah, I know how to dance.
How old are you?
12 maybe?
Okay.
Something like that. I think that's what it was. And then, so then all of a sudden I went from being on the train platform in the back to like the front row on the left, just towards the latter part of the thing, because the first part, the other kid was there. And you can see me, it's like I'm in the bottom right corner, just towards the latter part of the dance, and I got like little moppy hair and stuff. And so, yeah. So, yeah, dude, that was like, and then they were like, oh, you have enough, because I had, I'd done these, kept doing this, those days you had a Taft-Hartley, you had to get a certain amount.
Sure.
I was like, I had enough to Taft-Hartley in, and then I was a must join. So like, oh, they were scaring me, like, you must join if you, and I was like, okay, I'll join.
How much was it back then in 82?
It was a lot. It was 1980.
Okay, how much was that? Do you remember the price?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a lot cheaper than it is now.
Yeah. Okay, was acting something you wanted to do as a kid?
Yeah, I was like, I did modeling as a kid. Like in Chicago, there was a lot of modeling. You know, I was a Gerber baby.
Were you really?
Yeah, they did a portrait of me on the Gerber. See, I still have the baby face.
Okay.
So I was Gerber baby, so I was on the Gerber bottles when I was real little. And then when I was watching Sesame Street kind of launched then.
Sure.
And I was like, this is the coolest thing. There's like kids on TV. And my mom's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to do what those kids are doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that kind of got the ball kind of rolling from there, you know?
Okay, now wait, go back to Blues Brothers just for a second.
Sure.
Did you see the Blues Brothers on set, or
Yes.
was yours just the dance number?
Oh, yeah. No, I saw them on set. I told Dan Aykroyd recently, I was like, I stalked your trailer for a while because I was such a huge Blues Brothers fan.
Yeah.
And that year, like Chicago, they launched Chicago as a film town, in my opinion. There was My Bodyguard was there before.
Oh, I love My Bodyguard.
Thief was there.
Thief.
But like Blues Brothers was like, that was the movie that like, oh my God, Chicago, and that led to all the John Hughes thing of like, Ferris Bueller and whatever.
Yeah, and it really romanticized Chicago.
Big time. And for us, it was like they had this great thing called Chicago Fest, which was on this pier, a Navy pier, it's still there, and all the barges had different bands on there. But that year, the main stage was like Tina Turner, there was like Ray Charles, and then of course the Blues Brothers they highlighted. And now it's full circle now. I was just on a plane with John Goodman. He and I both live in New Orleans, and we're coming back to LA. And he made a little joke online when he was doing the Connors. He said, "Oh, Dan and I are getting the band back together." I was like, "Oh," because John's pretty much taken over
Yeah,
what
yeah,
Belushi
yeah,
has. With
yeah.
the two of them, they
Jim
do,
is taking over where John.
Yeah, Jim, exactly. And so, but I mean, like you know, it was great to kind of see them all together. You know.
Okay, well, my dude,
Yeah.
I'm impressed with that credit,
That's
big
a cool
time.
one.
I
That's a good
love.
one.
I'm like
That's
you,
why-
dude. Big
of
fan.
them- I think you're right. Of them, that's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so you're doing it at 12 years old.
Yeah.
12 to how old were you when you came here?
Oh God, that was 95. I was like 25, something like that.
What'd you do from 12 and 25?
Struggled. I went to college. I went to Boston University for a few years. Then
Okay.
I went to New York.
Were you still trying to pursue acting career
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
this?
Oh yeah. I showed up to the opening of an envelope. I was struggling. Yeah, I mean, literally, I cleaned toilets. I would read plays. You know, in those days in New York, there were a lot of theater companies. Like I got involved in Ensemble Studio Theater. Got involved with Playwrights Horizon, Double Image. There was every night there was a play reading that you could kind of do. So in the course of my time in New York, which is about 7 years, I did about 200 plays in that time period. And most were readings, but those readings led to doing like mini productions or backers things, or they would, you know, small runs of shows.
Right.
But it's like, you know, one of my favorites was doing American Buffalo, playing Bobby in American Buffalo. So I feel like an actor's career like us.
Sure.
You know, if you know American Buffalo, there's three main characters. There's Bobby, Teach, and Donnie. So I say an actor's career is the three phases of American Buffalo.
By the way, I keep nodding my head. I've never seen this play or anything.
Oh,
like that.
dude. Okay, you'll get it. But in the beginning, Bobby is like he's a young, hungry, like heroin addict. He'll do anything, anywhere, that's when you're like the young actor. Like
Okay.
I changed. You know, I did a show where I got paid with a ham sandwich and 2 tokens.
Okay.
You know, at Ham Heaven, a pork restaurant down on Chambers Street. And then I would do like student films where I would change clothes in like the bathroom of the pizzeria. Like I just was ravenous. I could not do this. I was a crackhead. So Bobby
But not a
phase
real
of your
crackhead.
no, it's crackhead for acting.
Right,
you know, so
right.
That's the only way I could survive without this. So Bobby is like really kind of desperate, you know. And then there's the Teach is the other character who's kind of a low level, you know, criminal who's a little edgy. He always has to keep proving himself. He's like a little bitter pill, but he's never quite ultimately satisfied.
Sure,
I'm still
sure.
kind of in the Teach phase of my career.
Yeah.
And then there's Donnie. Donnie just kind of sits there. He's like an air traffic controller. And he just kind of shows up and he's like, yeah, where are my lines? What I want, you know. So the three phases of an actor's career is Bobby, Teach, and Donnie. So in the beginning, you know, you just can't live without doing it. And then in the middle, you're like, I never feel like I'm quite getting where I need to go. And then by the Donnie phase, you're like, look, I don't even know my line. You know, I work with all these movie stars and they like, I don't know my lines. My wife just submitted, like, this is the 3rd movie this week. All right, go to Home Depot, go to Office Depot and get like a whole bunch of lines and you put the camera over here and I'm just gonna say some stuff and you know, like it's like you know they don't care because they're like, who cares, you know, like those guys could read an envelope or a phone book and no one would care. Like they're just like, so you want to get to that you know, and then there's like the judge phase. Then you're like, you know, you're judge and then you're Hume Cronin.
Right.
You know, you're the cocoon phase of your career. But I really feel like the 3 stages are Bobby, Teach, and Donnie. That's my love and respect for David Mamet, and he'll appreciate it. That's my life, Jim, and the way I live it. Anybody knows that play? That's great.
Okay.
Go.
James, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I was impressed with you a long time ago. I don't know if I ever tipped my hat to you. Like I said, I've known you for a long time.
Yeah, you got a hat.
I'm going to tip it.
There's a tip it. All right, tip it.
All right, so here's the
I'm
deal.
drink to that.
Here's the deal. So, I don't know what, like you said, you rolled into town when you were around 25.
Yeah.
When you did something, you're a hustler.
Yes.
You are a hustler in this town.
That is.
In this
notorious.
Yes.
Which I'm moving into, like, I'm trying not to hustle so much.
But
I'm trying to you know, feel like I got to push things a little bit. Now I got to just kind of, you know.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm pushing things and the people go the other way now, as opposed to, you know, when you're really trying to carve you have to kind of push the envelope. You have to email that person that you have a direct or a Facebook friend or message somebody and say, hey man, I just put myself on tape for this movie or TV show you're directing. I just did this recently. It's just as a backup. And they're like, no, they picked you without me even seeing it. But the reality is that I, you know, not leaving things to chance.
Right.
So now I think I have to be a little bit more mindful of pushing it a little bit.
Okay, but we will go back to that.
Yes.
To reveal some of your secrets on how to
file
get
that
140 IMDb credits. But here's something that you did that I never saw anyone do at this time, which I'm sure everybody was doing it. I just never knew anyone who did it. I remember a long time ago, you booked a movie called Seabiscuit and SWAT.
Yeah.
I, thanks to my American Airlines miles, I was able to get the Variety or Hollywood Reporter delivered to me once a day. Okay? And I opened the Variety the Variety, Daily Variety,
Yep.
and there was a picture of you. You bought advertisement.
I did.
You bought advertisement for, hey, check me out in Seabiscuit, and hey, check me out in SWAT. I'm going, what? Wait, dude, what? What?
First and only time I did that.
Really?
Yeah. It was a lot of money at the time. I didn't
How
have
much
it. I just
was
threw it
it?
on the credit- It was like $1,500 or something like that. And I didn't have it. I just threw it on a credit card.
I was impressed with that, dude, and I
because it
still
was like-
remember it today.
Thank you. I just, it's hard what we do. And
Yeah.
I think, because you're not that kind of, hot thing that's good thing, or you're with all these big, huge agencies and stuff. It's like but when you do work, I always feel like work begets other work.
Sure.
But if they don't know you're doing it, like I used to do this thing with postcards. I feel so bad, these cast directors. I send casting assistants postcard. I'd send the postcard when I booked the job. I send the postcard when it aired. I send the postcard saying it just aired and I got this other gig. And even if it was a commercial, even if it was a voiceover, I always felt like if I didn't let them know what I was doing, or I wanted them to know, hey, I'm still going out there. And I know a lot of people picked up those things like, oh, yeah, James would be good. I knew that led to work.
Yes, yes.
And that, I don't know if that really kind of works these days.
James, let me tell you something. I've heard from a couple of sources it still works more so than ever before because no one thinks it works anymore.
Right.
So therefore it's working.
Yeah, because here's the thing. The casting directors are in the selection business. They're in the selection process.
Right.
So it's like that is a subjective reality along with the people that are making these decisions.
Sure.
So for me, it's like in order to help them make decisions better, the perception is that I'm working all the time.
Right.
That's been a way that I've kind of put out there.
It's great.
It's not necessarily 100% true.
Dude, Tide detergent still advertises every single day.
Right, absolutely. But I also, exactly, but I don't want to push it so far that my God, why do you we know you're working, why do you have to push it so much? And because sometimes there's so many people and there's so many different choices, I'm just replacing a name actor in a movie and it's it boggles my mind that oh, he and I are, okay, if he doesn't do it, then I get it. And I was like, I really hope he's busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it worked out, but it was one of those things. And then I walk on set and everybody's like, oh no, we've known the body of your work. And I was like, oh, this is a great testament to, work begets other work. And I still feel that same way now. We're in this place where people are creating podcasts, people creating original content. I mean, I'm so encouraging of all people who are really putting themselves out there.
Right.
I do think just because you have a camera and just because you have a great idea, you still have to really, remember the days when we were doing the movie passes?
Yeah.
You still had to know who your audience is.
Right.
Who's going to show up. And so I think if you really know who you're marketing to, I'm on the Righteous Gemstones, I know who Danny's demographic are. It's NASCAR dads. It's the blue collar comedy dude, Larry the Cable Guy it's college guys and frat dudes. It's that's an audience. That's an 18 to 24 that can just that will show up if you just make them laugh.
Yeah.
And if it's good, if the writing is good, and I think that's the thing. The source, when I was in the theater, it was we never put a play up. We would do readings and readings and we never put a play up in its full until it was really ready.
Yeah.
And at some plays I did 10, 15 readings before we ever showed it to an audience. And I think that's the same thing here. I think you really have to whatever you do create something that has really been tried and true and get a lot of eyes and a lot of people listening, and so that when you are putting something out there, it is the best kind of caliber of what you have. As opposed to we're just going to snap it together. This is an idea. I think that my life should be a reality show. And I was like, okay, why? Why would I watch that? What I mean?
Because
I
do crazy things.
Because all my friends tell me, and I was like, yeah.
Okay.
And I have 10,000 paid for Instagram followers.
Exactly. Okay.
Really? But then you have 6 likes. How is that possible?
Yeah, right.
Just saying, folks.
We
all
know.
my 2,500 are real people.
Same here,
Real.
Dude. Same here.
And I love you, and keep coming.
That is a good point.
People.
Don't buy Instagram followers because just your point alone. We know when
I have
people
somebody who
buy
has 30,000 and maybe he'll get 15 likes, and I go, dude, if you have 30,000 people following you, you should be at least 100 to 500. There's just no way.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right.
You know who you are.
Yeah. Okay, here's the deal. First of all, I had to do the camera different today
Yeah.
because
Dude,
the
I love-
seasons are changing.
I got like a little. I'm gonna get a
I know,
little
but
sun.
if
No,
I
it's
go
good, but
here-
we're like in a tunnel.
But if I go here, the sun it creates this
You're trying to
whole
explain
thing.
yourself. I'm
yeah,
good.
I know. I
I'm
kind of
happy.
okay. Here we
Folks,
go.
We're good.
We're good.
You're getting the good gold.
Okay, here's the deal. So let's talk about you in town and then
Yep.
you leaving town. So let's talk because that's a big move for
I've
you.
been in 7 states in a month.
Okay, so hang on. So
Yeah.
you get here in 95, is that
Yep.
correct?
92.
92.
But who's counting?
So what do you do when you get here? How many credits do you have under your belt when you get
Not
into
much.
town?
When I got here in 92, I had an independent film called Combination Platter that won at Sundance. I had a barely what we considered an under 5 on Law and Order.
Okay.
And then I had a Broadway credit because I was going on tour. I went on tour for 9 months when I got here. So I knew I had a job for 9. I kept coming to LA and testing for pilots and being like a bitter New York actor going, I'm not going to get this thing. And then, of course, I didn't get that thing because I'm like, I'm not going to get this. Look at that guy. Look at that guy. You know?
That's what we
and
do.
so it's like this little negative thing that where I was at. But and then finally, I was like, I'm not coming back to LA unless I have a job. And so I knew the 6 Degrees that I did on Broadway was doing a national tour for 9 months. So that was going to get me here. So I had 9 months of work when I got here, which was a very smart thing. I always tell actors they all want to go, they get 1 credit. I live in New Orleans, they get 1 credit on NCIS as cop number 4.
Sure.
And they're like, I'm going to LA. And I'm like, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
It's like, you're invisible, bro. It's like, no slight, but I'm just saying, there used to be a time in New York and LA where you really could kind of build your career. I don't necessarily believe that's the case now. I think you can really build your career in places like Atlanta, Seattle, Chicago.
Well, hang on, we're going to
Boston.
get to all that.
We'll
We're going to get to that.
But the point is that here there's just so many choices, and that's what you're competing with. So go ahead. Where do you want to go?
I want to know about how long were you in LA,
Yeah.
and so I want to know how you started getting your work here, like how you got Seabiscuit, how you got
Yeah.
SWAT. So tell me.
Well, I
what
ended up doing years ago. Part of my theater company in New York, Risa Brayman Garcia and Billy Hopkins were 2 casting directors who were like doing all the Oliver Stone movies. Very, very supportive of me and still are to this day. Risa was casting the movie Speed. Now, you and I were doing movie passes at that time.
Sure.
So right after the tour was over, I needed a job. So a buddy of mine named Randy hooked us up with a gig, and George. I met George Xavier.
Yeah,
So Randy,
great guy.
those guys hooked me up at where we were working, and we were giving out movie passes. And then in the
By
course
the
of-
way, it's the best job.
it was. There's some dark moments.
Well, there's some dark
That,
moments, but you get to
have
see
kids,
movies.
when you have teenage kids spitting on you
Okay,
because
wow.
you're trying to give out movie passes. You know what I mean? And you're this close to like getting arrested for beating a 15-year-old
Well-
to an inch of his life. Because I'm a Chicago guy.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
not going to take.
I didn't-
I'm not going to take that. You know what I mean?
Okay, well-
I'm not going to be in Glendale
Okay.
again, getting disrespected
Yeah.
from a 15-year-old.
I'm not talking about that
I
aspect.
said, look,
of
okay,
it.
now I'm putting my movie passes down. I'm not working now. Now try to say what you're going to say to me just now. See how that goes.
James, hang
See,
on.
so I have those moments. But on the upside, you're right. We pick up our work between 9 and 12. We drop it off the next day. Where we go, how long we take, who we talk to. As long as we get our work done by the next day, which I didn't do a lot of times. They were good. But it was, and then there's days where you're like, wait, man, they're just flowing off. Like I just couldn't. I need more. I got to go back in and get more packs. It's like, you know what I mean? When you get the right movie, it's great.
Well, but James,
go ahead.
I started working more of the screenings. So
See, now
I
that was I thought a smarter move because I like the idea of being the moderator. I like the idea of interacting with the audience, being, you're engaged with, I did a couple of moderating things myself, and it was like, that's the gig because it's like, you're there with the studio people, you're there with the directors, and you're listening to how movies are being formed in a good way and a bad way by the audiences are telling you, look, you got a 12-year-old kid from, Thousand Oaks going, yeah, I don't know, you had that master shot, then you cut to a 2-shot. I don't know why you would do that. It's like in a focus group.
Yeah.
And so the head of the studio is like, no, you listen to that 12-year-old kid, so the director would be like, what? So yeah, that guy's going to go to your movie, so you have to change the course of your movie because that's the audience.
Right. But we also saw different versions of classic films that no one will ever see.
Oh yeah.
That was my favorite.
I saw first cut of Schindler's List, and it was like, wow.
I saw a different cut of Goodfellas.
Oh, that must have been fun.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving along. Well, enough about that.
Okay. We could do that.
We could do
okay,
okay, exactly.
All right. What else?
How did you get SWAT? How did you get those big ones?
Well, Risa, I think the one that kicked off for me was Speed. It was like, I think that was 94, so I was a couple years in here. I also had some really great people, very supportive out of the gate. You know, Mark Sachs, I'd seen me in 6 Degrees and started
Mark Sachs was he's back in New York, but he came out here and he called me in all the time when he was here.
He's great. And I was just in New York. I just did the Good Fight for him. And he's just still, you know, he was the first guy that out of the gate. He and Risa were the first people out of the gate that are like, oh my God, yeah, James, you're fantastic. And so he put me on George Carlin's show. So I got my first sitcom. Then he just kept bringing me in for stuff over and over and over. But Risa putting me in Speed, initially Jan DuMont didn't want me because he was like, this guy's not innocent enough. She goes, no. So Risa brings me in and she does an interview with me explaining how I proposed to my wife. I mean, one of the most purest raw. And so he shows, she taped it, sent it to Jan. He goes, okay, that guy's pretty innocent, you know.
Do we need to know the story, James?
Well,
how
the
you
opening
proposed
scene,
to her?
it's the opening scene of Speed.
No, okay.
What do you want to know?
No, we need to know how you proposed to your wife now? I mean, are they going to want to know? Is it a quick story?
No, it's just the sweet thing of like I had to hide the pill. The box was so big, I had it in my jacket. I was like sitting down uncomfortably, and at a certain point I'm like pulling under the table to try to store the box so she wouldn't see it. I mean, she knew I was proposing.
Okay, then all right.
But the point is, so my point is, it was a sweet innocent thing, and that got me the gig. And so then I'm in the opening scene of Speed. It's Dennis Hopper's planning the bomb. All the credits are going by, and they're going down the elevator thing, and Dennis Hopper's planning this bomb, and then the door opens, and it's my face. And I kind of walk in through, and they're like this great little kind of dolly shot. And then I was like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. And he goes, oh, yeah, I got some, I said, well, I'm going to have to see a work order. And he like reaches down, gets a screwdriver, like, bam, screwdriver in the head. I'm like, done, out.
Was it awesome working for him?
Yeah, he was amazing.
Did he teach you anything on the set?
Well, the fun part is when we were doing...
I'm talking about Dennis Hopper.
When we were doing makeup, he and Keanu Reeves, the two of them, were in the makeup chair next to me talking about visual art, like Robert Maplefort's photographies, and I'm like, these two guys were just like art historians, and I'm like, wait,
were you just in awe?
Yeah, because I was just like, I could sit here all day long, you know what I mean? And like, I didn't know they were both big fans of art, and I just listened, you know, and so that whole process was just kind of amazing, you know, and Dennis just couldn't be nicer to me, and we had a situation where it's like almost one of the guys on the dollies almost got his head hit, and I yelled cut, and Jan just chewed me a new one. And Dennis was like, no. That guy was going to get hurt. He did the right thing. Jan, when we dollied back, that's not a fake. That he would have hit his head on a beam. That guy would have got hurt. He goes, well, no one yells cut. You know, and Dennis was like, oh, you're good.
Nice.
And we were mic'd, you know, and the guy said, that's an asshole. And then it's like, he goes, I heard that. You know, it's like, but I mean, Hopper he backed me up because I wasn't doing anything wrong. But you never, an actor.
I mean, come on, James, cut. You never yell cut, dude.
But I was.
Let him get hurt.
I don't care. I'm from,
I'm
from Chicago. That's my excuse a lot. I'm from Chicago. I don't care.
Okay, you do Speed. Yeah. What's the next project?
Speed, and then that leads to I read for.
Were you hustling, letting everyone know that you just did Speed?
No, postcard. Well, the hilarious thing is, you and I are giving out movie passes. Yeah. And the week that Speed's coming out, I'm still giving out movie passes, and the guy goes, hey, man, aren't you in it? And I was like, yeah, And he goes, I'm confused. I was like, dude, it's not a Jeffrey Owens moment, bro. This is way before Jeffrey Owens. I was like, we all have to hustle. It's like, yes, I'm in the #1 movie for the next 2 weeks, And... So
because we don't see residuals from films or TV for another year.
I just shot the thing, for another year. So, I'm like, wait, I just got to make money today. Right. And even that week, this is a great story. I don't think I've ever told this story. I don't think I ever told it. So a friend of mine in my
building. Here's an exclusive.
Dude, this is a great one. A friend of mine in my building, I was like the building manager of a place in West Hollywood. 6 units, we're all like knew each other. I think
every actor has been an apartment manager.
This is exactly. Because I was like, I'm trying to save rent, So I'm like, I'll manage and get the plumber and call some electrician to fix some stuff. Sure, you're reducing my rent, no big deal. But the guy at the end had been an editor for a lot of these like Skinamax movies and stuff, and he was like had this flatbed in his thing. So you'd hear like, okay. And then all of a sudden he started directing porn. Okay. And then he's like, hey man, knocks on my door one morning. He goes, look, we're going to be using up on the roof. Is that okay? And I was like, oh, all right. And he goes, yeah, I wonder if you could do my still guy's not here. Could you do a still photography for the porn shoot? And I said, all right. I turned to my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, and I said, I was like, honey, you cool with this? And she said, what is he paying us? He's paying $300 cash. $300 cash? Yeah.
Go for it.
A couple hours work. And I'm getting up there and I'm like, taking the photograph. And I'm not thinking, like, because you can't hear the clicking of the stuff, And then the girl looks up at me and goes, hey, aren't you in the movie Speed? So I was like, yeah, I was hoping. So you're in the, and you're doing, yeah. And then this other guy starts coming over and he goes, hey, man, yeah, you're an actor, right? Can I talk to you about this? There's this script that they want me to do this legitimate movie. And I was like, oh, well, it's like, okay, this is a guy that like had done lots of porn. Buddy of mine in college said, dude, you look like this guy. I was like, oh, thanks, man. So for a long time, I could totally look like this dude. So he's turning to me and goes, yeah, they want me to do this movie called Boogie Nights.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what? Wow. He goes, so when you have time, when you're not, can we just kind of run through, because they want me to go in and read. And I was like, this is just surreal kind of experience. So I'm like the real legit actor on the porn shoot. And then the worst part is, my buddy is so pissed off. He gave me the money, but then he's like, I goes to look at the thing. I like double, like, I never changed because you couldn't hear how many clicks. And I'm just taking pictures, thinking, and then they're like, how many rolls have you gone through? It was like, oh, 2. He goes, you've been clicking for like, and then he's like, I think we have like 4 pictures for the box. And I was like, sorry, man. And I was like, I still took my $300.
Okay.
But dude, and the story is, there's even more stories to that, but we're not going to get into that. That's a different show altogether.
Tell me.
Yeah, these are the things, the things you have to do to make money. You're the building manager. You're like doing bad double exposed porn stills. Like what do you got?
Man.
You're doing what you got to do, man.
Okay. So you do Speed.
Yeah.
And what's the next one you said?
I think somewhere like I got in with Deborah Zane.
Okay.
Really just a huge fan. I did this play where I was this cop from New York who had this interracial love story with this woman. It was a beautiful story called Gramercy Park is Closed to the Public. And I did that play and it was like everybody's, once you do New York cop,
plays do work. So plays do work out.
Plays do work. But they also can kind of type you because they're like, this was New York cop. So I just had like a slew of New York cop stuff. So get the NYPD Blue knocked out. But from that, Deborah Zane had come to play and was really a big fan. And so Deborah had brought me in for both Seabiscuit and for Catch Me If You Can.
Okay.
And I booked both, like back to back, like boom. And then
what did you have to read for Spielberg for?
No, he doesn't.
Catch Me If You Can?
He was a tape guy. He knows. It was an interesting thing he said. He said people get really intimidated when I'm in the room, and I want them to do their best work.
Okay,
so usually I don't want them to read for me when I'm there. It's just a matter of just kind of talking to me so I get to know them. Because he feels like a lot of people have blown auditions by just being intimidated, and he goes, I don't want to do that. So he usually makes decisions on tape. And then if you do have like a kind of a chemistry thing where you want to read, it's just really a conversation. I mean, he knows what he's doing.
Okay, so you booked those 2 things. What made you think about putting the ad in the paper? Like, why? What made you think that thought?
I had seen other people do it. I mean, more recently, there's a woman who did this thing with Tyler Perry, and she ended up getting some work out of that. Putting up a billboard. She's an African-American actress in Atlanta, paid for a billboard to put up, and
I heard
it actually
about
led to some work. Now, I think can be a little bit of extreme. Here's the thing. It's like American Idol.
But
it's
hey,
like
we're talking about her right now, so apparently
exactly.
it works.
So look, it can work if you can really back it up. And that's
Right.
what the big thing is. I think sometimes, falsely putting out...
It's not like Dennis Woodward. What's that guy's name?
Right. Dennis, yeah. That's just sad.
Okay, go ahead.
Conversations with him?
Yes.
It's very sad.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. You're bringing me down, bro. We're doing good here. You know what I mean? It's going well. Then you bring up Woodruff. What do you got to pee in the punch,
Dennis Woodruff
man?
is an actor. God bless him.
Yeah,
I always said
God
when I
bless
make
him.
it, I'm going to get him a big part.
There's just mentally just not all there. You know what I mean?
He drives around in a car.
He's got his name. He's got many cars. He sold a whole bunch to who bought his car? Nick Cage bought a couple of his cars.
He glues his headshot all over his picture.
Everywhere. Just, that's an extreme. There was another Angeline.
Yes.
There's like another example. But I think the thing is, you have to back it up. Like I study. I reread, Larry Moss's book. I go to his workshops. I reread Tim
You're the
Phillips'
second
book.
Larry Moss here.
Dude, I'm
Larry Moss is awesome, right?
Just listening to Larry Moss talk, observing Larry, working with him is amazing. Listening to him talk is so inspiring. I have notebooks filled with inspiring things that have worked to this day about, the biggest thing Larry Moss taught me is looking at characters' Achilles heel. finding out what the character's fundamental weakness is. Just like, Superman has got kryptonite. So the reality is that if you find out what a character's fundamental flaw or weakness is, everything they say or do in the course of the story is to cover up that thing. For example, if Donald Trump's father just loved him unconditionally, without any strings attached, without ever being Donald, you know what I mean? Just purely loved him for being father and son, he wouldn't be the person that he is. Because what happens is everything he says and does is to overcompensate for that little thing that's missing. He never got picked at baseball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He never will be up to the expectations of what his father lived up to. So I think, from now on, since working with Larry, every single time I look at a character, I try to go to what's their weak spot. And lucky for me, I play a lot of historical characters where like in Trumbo, that guy was like, put people in jail, ruin families' lives by putting these writers' ability to not work and provide for their families at that time when the men were really working. They had to go under a different name. And then that guy in the end is like totally puts his family on the payroll and he ends up in the same jail of Trumbo.
Right.
Which is not historically accurate, but he was in jail at the same time Trumbo was in jail. So to have a kind of holier than thou kind of standard, and then towards the end of your career, you just do some stupid stuff. So even with the other guy in The Butler, same thing as each one of these guys that they at the end they kind of mess it all up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So I feel like sometimes it's interesting to kind of. Larry got me in that mindset of like looking for what are they afraid of? What's their we all have one big secret that we would never tell anyone, even our spouses, even our kids. The secret you take to
What's
the
your
grave.
secret?
I'm not telling you that. It's a secret. I have to kill you.
Okay.
So
Hey.
my point is that something like that is kind of profound and simple, and Tim Phillips is my other guy in terms of auditions. There's like that's the Sanford Meisner of auditions. Tim has this thing where you can look at a script and your last line of dialogue or your second last line of dialogue is the thread, the spine, the through line of the scene. It's how you finish, it's how you close. So once you know the way you close, then you craft your way backwards. So now I look at scripts, I'll go right to the through line and go, okay, I end the scene by saying and doing this. But then in the middle of it, something happens. And then in the beginning, I don't start there. I start this place and I get to that place.
Right.
So each of my auditions are this 3-act structure that's crafted. And no one was teaching me things like that. You and I would just go in there, we're like, I'm going to do these lines, I'm just going to kind of wing it. But no, there's a formula, there's a technique, and I don't wing it so much, but I do prepare and then I kind of let it go, because I don't know what's going to happen. Just like you and I, like we're coming in here. I don't know what's going to happen between you and I and the lens.
Right, that's right. That's
so
right.
Being prepared for all those things that's my job.
Okay, let me ask you something, James. We're at the 32-minute mark. We're not in a hurry to finish it, but we're going to start kind of going the other direction. Tell me this.
We're getting to the third act.
We're getting to the third act.
We did the turn.
Right.
Okay.
You decide one day. When did you decide to move out of Los Angeles to go pursue? Still working as being a working actor. You decided to move. What year?
4 years ago.
Okay, what year is that? I'm bad at math.
So where we are, we're
90. That's at 2015, right?
Yeah.
So from 92 to 2015, you worked during that time.
I did all right.
Did you start not working as much before that 2015?
Yeah, I had some pretty bad dry spells, here. I knew for me, I had been going back and forth. My wife is from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and so we had been talking about moving our lives back there. Her mom was getting older, and her brother is handicapped, just disabled in a way. But we wanted to spend more time with them, And I had booked Treme, but I'd been going back and forth between LA and New Orleans for like 3 years. And in that time period, the tax credits came there. There were lots of opportunities, and so. I'd go do an episode, and then I'd audition for 3 or 4 movies, and then I'd get a couple of them, and then I went back and forth for about 10 years, almost 10 years.
Really?
And so I did 3.5 seasons of Treme, I did 2 seasons of American Horror Story, and then like 30 movies, because of the tax credits. And so at a certain point, once I booked Deepwater Horizon, that was the big turn, because I had 12 weeks of work.
That's 12 weeks of work.
12 weeks of guaranteed film work. You and I both know, when does that come up?
Shoot,
now it's
man.
like, let's get you in and out one day,
Yeah,
get your money, be thankful you got a job. But I mean, like, no one's. So I was running the picture.
How did you book that? How did you book that particular gig?
I auditioned in Los Angeles. I put myself on tape, and I did something that was really interesting. It was like all the men were reading this general scene about a guy on the rig who had found a fossil from Mark Wahlberg's character, and it says in the dialogue that you're supposed to like give him the fossil and then say, "Are we square?" as if they had like some sort of bet or thing going on. But I did something a little different, which was I didn't follow the direction. I basically I leaned him the fossil, and then I pulled it back, and I said, "We good?" Because I'm not going to give you I'm not going to give you this thing, even though it says to do so. I'm not going to give you this thing until we're square.
Right.
And that little thing kind of pulled me out of the pack. Peter Berg was like, "I remember your audition," because nobody did that. So it's like finding choices that do
to
kind of
color
separate.
outside the.
That's exactly right.
Because a lot of people are so worried that they play it safe.
That's right. I don't play it safe at all.
I don't. That's the big.
I go maybe a little too far sometimes with. I don't go crazy on costume, but I give you a sense of costume. And when they say no props, you're basically saying no fun. I don't do any prop that is unnecessary.
Right.
Meaning, if you're holding a wine glass and unless you're having a conversation about the wine, forget it. But when it comes to guns and we're shooting it, I have a gun. You know, when it comes to live auditions, then I'm using my cell phone.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, more and more casting directors, those are taste and preferences. I understand it because here's my deal. I'm in the acting business.
Sure.
My job, as I see it, is you hand me the material, and it is my job to execute it to the best of my ability. I have nothing to do with the selection process or the casting process. I say I'm not. People, how do you deal with rejection? I said Chiklis gave me this great thing. It's not
Michael
rejection.
Chiklis.
Michael Chiklis.
The commish,
my college bud. It's not rejection. It's selection. They just didn't select you. But the reality is, I spend no time or energy in that process. I'm not interested in. I don't care who signs in. I don't care who's reading. None of that has to do. My job is you give me this role, and I execute the audition as if I've already got the job. So I prepare the audition as if I'm preparing on set, ready, willing, and able to take whatever notes.
Are you on? And you're totally off book when you audition.
Now, mind you, I get hit with 10,
Sure.
12, 15 pages, same day, 12-hour, 24 hours, a luxury turnover. So I do a little every once in a while. A little secret is I have exercises in a way and just kind of rapid and run through lines, but I tape things up. I do a little Brando, you know what I mean? I look down, I grab wherever I can pull. Most of the time, now my muscle has gotten so strong that I'm
a muscle. Memorizing lines is muscle.
100%. And you do your drills and you find things that kind of work. I have 5 or 6 different things that I do that help me.
What? Name those 5 or 6 things quickly.
I read all my lines backwards. Sometimes I just take the last word and then I grab another word and I go backwards to forwards. I heard De Niro does this. So I take one word in a paragraph. I'll take the last word,
okay,
and then I'll add the next word, and then I'll add the next word, and I'll go all the way up the paragraph from the backwards forward. Then I'll do it in a dialect. I'll do it like Irish dialect. It's just, you know, I'm gonna do it in Irish dialect. I'll do it in a Southern dialect. This guy's gonna talk like this, and then sometimes I'll do it. You know, I'll slow it down. I'll just, you know, read the words really, really slow and methodically. Then I'll do a medium pace, and then sometimes I'll speed it up. So it kind of, you know, various techniques. And then sometimes when I'm taping, it's like their eye lines are certain people, so I'll throw this eye line here. I'll maybe make double copies of the scene so that if I'm doing this thing and I throw an eye line, look over there to grab a line and come back. But, you know, that's only in those situations where, and I've had it. I mean, I've got hit, you know. And I've done some fun things where it's like I've been here in LA working, and it's something for Atlanta, and they sent it out at like 6 o'clock Atlanta, which is 3 o'clock here.
Right.
I tape it at 10 p.m. I finish it at 12. I edit it till 2 in the morning. I send it over to Atlanta, two full separate takes. And they're like, we sent this out at 6 in the morning. This guy's got it back at 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? So I had the time zone working to my advantage. And then like the director's like, yeah, this guy, he had all of it off book. And I was like, no, I had a friend of mine had like a tape to his forehead. He had like one line tape on his shoulder. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna tell him that, you know. But he's like, oh man, you had it down. I was like, well, okay, whatever you say, bud. You know, it's like they were pushing for movie stars. They wanted names. They're throwing all these names. He goes, but then I showed your audition. It's like, look at this guy. You can get all his dialogue down. I'm like, yeah.
James, dude, seriously, you're a great hustler. Dude. I don't want to say the word hustler because there's kind of like but dude, I'm really impressed with you, brother.
Thank you, man.
I'm very impressed with you, dude.
I'm always impressed with you, bro. You and I just, We just keep doing this.
Well, because
we're crackheads.
Okay, I mean,
not the
right,
real
exactly.
crack,
But wait,
for the art.
let's just pull over for a second. You're on a set and you mess up. Okay,
Yeah.
you got a dialogue and you mess up. They go cut. Do you get in your head because you just messed up,
No.
or you feel okay? Everybody messes up.
No, it's totally human. But I'm in the closer phase of my career, which is I'm a closer in baseball. So everybody else has kind of set things up. Like I just had 2 different gigs back to back with huge directors, and what I'm doing for the next month and a half.
What is
And
that?
I
What
can't
is?
tell you that.
Okay,
But,
well that's
but the
good.
point is that it's good. It'll be very good. One is an Oscar-winning director, but they set this whole thing up. There was an explosion and a stunt thing, and they're all doing Steadicam, and it's like I got to come in and I got to hit this mark, and I got to get this thing, and then I got to move around because I got to pivot, and the explosion's got to go off, and it's like they spent 2 hours setting this up. I got, for me, I just said this to the director. I said, look, I got to come and close. I got to throw 9 strikes. So for me, I go 3 masters, 3 mediums, 3 close. Nothing on me. I got to come out, throwing strikes. So I'm the Kenley Jansen, of films. Like he comes in and he's, he gets his wind up going. It's my son's favorite pitcher.
Sure.
Winds up and he's got to close because the whole game is kind of riding on it.
Yeah.
And if you can come in and be
That doesn't put more pressure on you to mess up.
No, more pressure on me to rise to the occasion.
Okay, good. All right, I like that. Go
It's
ahead.
this is where where I'm at now.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
you're
There
right,
may be a
right.
time where my memory or I might, get older and I might not be as sharp, and so I'll have to struggle a little bit. But I'll find a way. I'm just not there yet. Right now, it's I feel like I got to come in and throw strikes. And that's what we did here in this thing. It was like the master shot was like bing bing. 3 cameras. We did 3. One of the takes was them, but I don't want the takes to be on me.
Exactly.
Because time is money and money is time, and
Right.
it's like if you can be the guy that comes in and delivers the job, and they're paying me a lot of money, more than I've ever gotten paid, and they're expecting this.
Right.
So I kind of go, I spend my time, I'm working out, running the lines, So when I come in, then there's this beautiful thing happening with film and also with theater, is once you kind of break the footlights. Viola Davis was saying this, like, actors have
Who?
Viola Davis
Okay, yeah.
said, when she's doing her show, her TV show, actors were coming in and goes, oh no, well you can't be there. I didn't plan it that way. And she's, baby, that's not how this works. And it's like,
Right.
So you plug in all those things, and then you have to give over. You have to give over between, just like when you break the footlights of a theater, you have to give over to this thing that happens.
James, what does
between you
that
and the
actually
audience.
mean? Break the footlights of the theater?
Break the footlights are when you're on the wings of a show.
Right.
The lights are there. You can see that you're in the shadow, so they can't see you. Once
Okay.
you break the footlights, once you get into the main stage, then the play's on.
I got you.
And you don't know what's going to happen. I did a play
okay.
on Broadway where the guy's having a heart attack in the back row. We just kept going.
Okay, all
That
right.
doesn't have anything to do with our reality.
Right, okay.
Same thing with film now. It's like I kind of plug in all these things. I don't know what's going to happen.
Right,
It's
right.
total. There's been times where I've been backstage and I have no idea what my next line is before I get on. You know how that
yeah,
feeling. It's
yeah,
live
I know
auditions.
that
Like-
feeling very
it's like
well.
walking out on a wire.
Yeah.
But I found that's some of my best work now, is when I've let go of the judge and the negative and and I don't know what's going to happen. I've plugged everything in my humanity and figured out who the person is, and then we don't know what's going to happen between you and the lens. Something could totally come up, and they're going to do some things, and I kind of have to be kind of prepared and ready for all that.
James, have
It's
you
the great unknown.
Yeah.
But that's what people are watching for. They want surprises and discoveries. And I got so crafted for a while that I forgot that I need to have ahas and oh shits and what the I forgot that.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
now I'm getting back to that sense of play. Duvall says, you got to come to play. Robert Duvall's like, you got to come to play. So now I come to play. I come to play closer in baseball. Now there's times, you're right, I mess up. I had a situation where I was like the phrasing of this one word, I thought in my head that I said it right, and I just reversed these 2 words. But finally, lucky for me, on the close-up shots, I got it exactly verbatim. So it's almost like in my conscience, I'm like, well, on the master, it really doesn't matter. It's like, but when you get in close, I'm gonna get it exactly the way you want it, sir.
Nice,
You know?
nice.
So there is a weird little like self. You and I fight. I've been in movies where I had to I'm the supporting lead with this guy, and you have to fight. You have to fight for your film time. And he's like,
Yeah.
this guy's upstaging me. And I'm like, nah, dude.
James, can I ask you how old you are?
I'm from Chicago.
I think we're the same age, around the same age.
I'm not gonna say.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm over 40 is all you need.
You're over 40. Okay. when you get over 40,
and way under 60. How about that?
okay,
Is that a good
all right.
one?
I think we're the same.
Yeah.
So, because I did the math from your
Here's a clue.
with the Blues Brothers. Okay, I did the math with the Blues Brothers. So listen.
Yeah.
Are you at the prime of your career, or do you feel like you hit a age thing where you're like, man, I'm my days are numbered, or do you feel like, man, I'm just getting started?
I'm just getting started. Because it's kind of like there was a time when I was in my 20s and I was losing my hair, and they go, from here, when commercial casting is like, from here down, you're 18 to 24.
Yeah.
And then my hair was like thinning,
Yeah,
and there, but
yeah.
from here up, you're 30 to 40. And I go, yeah, but I'm 25 years old. What are you killing me for?
Right.
And I was like, but she goes, well, when you're 40, you're gonna work all the time. And there was some truth to the fact that like the characters I was playing and my age started to merge a little bit.
Right.
And I still feel like that's kind of happening, Now, I'll still go in for things, and it'll be like these amazing actors between 40 and 60. Once I got into that like 40 to 60 pool,
Yeah.
I was at an audition. It was all these dudes that I like loved and respected. I was like, hey man, I'm just really glad to be in this room here. It's like, you have to suck us off. We can't get you a job. It's like, this is my buddy Michael O'Neill. He's one of the funny, sweetest guys in the world. Michael's like, and he goes, I'm just kidding, man. He goes, welcome to the pool. Because, we're all in this kind of pool.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yep.
And there's guys that are above us, and there's guys that are working their way up, and it's sometimes, it can be as subjective as just throwing darts. Because in this market and in my level, everybody's really, really good. It's a matter of taste. And so you can't, I try not to spend time on, and then the big thing that's been hard for me to realize, and this is a good one, I only get the jobs I'm supposed to get.
Amen, brother. Amen to that.
When you're younger, it is like you can't believe that. But
Right.
then if I really look back, I'm like, no, I only got the jobs I was supposed to get. So now, even recently, I'm like, oh man, I followed this track in this movie, and I want to work with this. I've worked with this person before, and I want to like be there and go to London and do it. And I'm like, dude, you're under contract. You can't go off and like you're blocked. Like you.
Yeah.
And I was like, what about this? Oh yeah, no, I can't do that one either. So it's like, come on, dude, don't get so greedy. You know what I mean? Like, it's not for everybody. But
Yeah.
even that's what I say about like that hustler mentality. I kind of have to let that go a little bit. And let my work kind of speak for
James,
itself.
I wouldn't
It's
let it
hard
go
to let
too.
that-
I wouldn't let it go
No,
too
I know,
easy,
I know.
because that's
Well,
that's
there's
one of
another
your strong
dude.
traits.
There's another dude. That's the other
There
thing.
is.
There's another guy who's just trying to work his way up too.
Okay, here's
so-
some quick questions,
And
James.
there's guys above us who everybody knows.
Yeah. James.
And I'm not Dean Norris. I don't want to hear this anymore. I'm not.
Do you get that a lot?
I'm not a fat discount Dean Norris.
I had never thought that before in my life.
But if he passes,
Right,
and I'm
there you go.
available, and the
Okay.
price is right, I'm in.
James, what do you want? What's
Dean,
the
I'm
number
coming
one
for you.
thing? What's the number one thing you want? Don't say to continue working. What's the one thing that you dream about at night?
That at my that's a profound one. That at my memorial, people say wonderful things that maybe my wife or my kids never heard, or my family never heard.
That's a good one.
That I said and did things for people, and I do this a lot. Unconditional, and I don't keep track. I'm a Buddhist for 30 years, so I make these causes. I don't think about the effects. I just do them because I want to do them. And that's a weird thing to say, but at the end of the day, I want people to know. As you know, I watched the Quincy Jones documentary, and I want people to know I was here.
Sure. Yep. Okay.
And
I like
and
that.
for guys like us, it's like, you're just another character, guys. No, I'm an actor. Character guys, Sly Stallone does one character. I'm an actor. Actors do many things. So I think I just want to be, I was always looking for respect, and I think I got that now. But I feel like, say some nice things about me. Get up there and tell a cool story.
What's your okay? I like it. What's your 3 a.m. worry? And nothing personal, career-wise. What's your 3 a.m. worry?
It's a silly one. John and Goodman and I were talking about this. If I lose too much weight, to stay healthy and live longer, that people stop calling me. It's a weird. John and I were talking about this little, because they look at him as the funny fat guy, and he's like, dude, I'm gonna die of a heart attack if I don't make these changes. So there's that 3 a.m. worry of like, I need to figure out a way to be healthier, eat clean, and I'm doing that. I'm making efforts and working out because I want to. I want to do this till I can't memorize lines, and they're feeding it in my thing, or they're giving me visual. They're playing charades to go, to get the lines. I'm fine with all that,
What's your worst day in Hollywood? And when I say Hollywood, the Hollywood biz. What's your worst day? Or worst time?
Worst time in Hollywood. Worst time in Hollywood. That's a really good one. I try to block. that out.
I know.
But I think the worst time was. I think there was a time where I just felt really invisible.
Yeah.
That I'm fooling myself, and that I'm that all this hustling thing is just narcissistic ego. That I'm not really kind of getting anywhere. And to look at the bank account and that that was a thing. There was a time where I really felt that I'm failing. My wife, went to law school and she became a lawyer, and so she helped to really kind of, without her going to law school, I could not have been an actor.
Thank God for good wives,
that's
man.
Right, man. You find the right person to love and who loves you, man. Treat them right.
Amen,
my
brother.
wife's been amazing, and so,
Amen.
In this regard, to be a man and not be able to provide for your family and your kids, man, that's.
Hey, ease up, okay?
That's hard.
Ease
That's
up,
hard,
okay?
But
okay.
Look, that's just us. There's guys that are doing this, living check to check, living on minimum. We're not saving, curing cancer here. We're entertaining people, but we are impactful, changing them through human behavior. But yeah, man, if you can't make it's a man, it's hard.
What's the biggest feather in your cap in this business?
Persistence. I never give up.
Okay. What's
I'm
your
a
biggest
junkyard
job?
dog.
What's your job? What's your favorite job out of all the jobs you've booked?
I gotta say, I'm having the best time right now in the Gemstones.
Really?
The Righteous Gemstones, because there's this almost like high school, college thing where we do the master shot and it's scripted. We do the medium shot and then it's scripted. Then we get to the close-up, and then they feed me the most outrageous lines.
Awesome.
And they want to see if I'm going to stay in character. And everybody on the other side of the camera is all busting up laughing, and
awesome.
I got to stay in character. It's like this childish prank.
Yeah.
And Danny McBride is just the most hilarious and generous, wonderful person. My son and I are on the show.
Now, how
It's
great
just-
is that?
oh,
How great is
geez.
that?
My
That is
kid's
awesome,
just killing
man.
it, man.
And you signed.
Danny, he's just so smart and generous with the people. He surrounds himself with amazing talent, amazing writers, but I mean, I'm having so much fun. I just don't want it to end.
And you signed
we
your
got
first
a second season, so we're good.
You signed your first nudity clause because
I did.
of this.
I did, because I did 6 Degrees on Broadway, where I'm full frontal for
Right.
8 shows a week. So those who saw 6 Degrees in the 90s, it was out there, I was hanging out there. But then I was on TV where they can take a picture of it and then put it somewhere else, and I was like, eh. And so Danny picks this guy with the littlest. Thank you, bro, for doing that. My DD, my double. Thank you, bro.
So that was a double.
That was a double, bro. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it because I just don't.
Have you told everyone? I haven't
like,
seen it.
Well,
I
no,
just
they
heard
did this
about
thing in the beginning. They're like, oh, Danny and everybody else, they're all doing full frontal, and I'm like, I'm calling BS on that. But I'm like, I just didn't want them to be capture it and then put it online, and people are like, hey, look, here's DuMont's dick. I was like,
okay.
I just didn't want that to happen.
Sure.
So in order to avoid that, I did the waiver saying I'm not doing it. And then, of course, the cast directors just hate me because they're like, we got to look at 50 penises today. Thank you, James. And I was like, well, whatever. And then he picks a small one. I'm like, Danny, what are you doing? He goes, dude, you had your chance, man.
That's
you wanted to
funny,
prove
man.
your...
That's
I was
funny.
like, you picked the smallest one? He goes, that's funny.
It is
so
funny.
that's why I
That
go
is
like, that's like Danny, way to go.
What's the last thing I need to know about you?
Last thing I need to know about me, that I'm a Buddhist. I'm coming out of my Buddhist closet for 30 years. It's like, everybody thanks God, and I have admiration and respect for faith and people's ability to manifest faith in their daily lives, but no matter what that may be. But my Buddhist practice I chant every day in order to keep a condition of life that I can be resilient and not let get in my head and not let things get to me.
Okay, so
Try to keep a higher condition of life that I can handle whatever is thrown my way.
if I'm living in Delaware, can I be an actor?
Absolutely. Do everything. Every student film, every play. I always say to people, if you're going to be the master of that market, be the guy that grabs every role there possible. And once you've mastered and you're the person that market, then it's time to leave. They say the mark of a successful Chicago actor is when you leave, because you've done all the commercials, you've done every theater, and then you move on to LA, greener pastures. And so people coming to LA or New York, I say, master Atlanta, master Chicago, Seattle, Boston, Florida, Texas, wherever you are, do everything you possibly can do there. Because I know these people. I watch the people that are most successful in the larger markets have been the ones where you walk in the room and you're like, oh, here's Clint again. this guy, he took this job, that job, or this. It's like, I'm just going to leave right now.
Right,
when you see
right.
the usual suspects,
Yeah.
we see them all the time.
Yep,
Guys
yep.
are still, like, they were all still here. But it's like, when you really have mastered it, not just one, cop number 4,
Right,
what I
right,
mean?
right.
It's not time to leave yet. So I say to people, do everything that's there until you're like, you know what, you really need to be getting bigger and better opportunities because you are the best in this market,
Okay, last question, and
Yeah.
okay, this is it. Last minute of the conversation.
Okay, good.
Who should I interview next? That's my new question at the end.
Ooh,
if
good
it
one.
doesn't pop in your mind, don't worry about it.
Who should you interview next? Here, like in our circle?
Yeah, well, yeah, just somebody realistic that I could get.
You want to focus on actors?
Yeah, sure, I don't care. Just
I
the
think,
name
have you
pop
ever
up.
interviewed George Xavier?
Okay, that's a good one.
Xavier's he's a film,
Okay,
that guy is, you know what I'm saying?
I like it. Yep.
Because his mind and his take on movie is
That's a good one. That's
he's
a good one.
cinephile.
Okay.
And you need a guy that's a cinephile, and why? Because he's had such a great.
James Gray.
You know what I mean? Like
Yep,
that's a
that's
guy.
a great idea.
Because
That's
it's
a
a
great idea.
different. It's a whole different. The way he looks at films are different than I do from a performance level. He looks at and even on a marketing level, he worked with us.
Yeah.
I love me some George.
That's a
Xavier.
good one. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I really like
absolutely.
that. Okay, James.
Yeah.
One last favor.
Sure.
We tell everybody out there goodbye.
All right. We say goodbye.